I'm Mikkel Becker. I'm going to help you train your dog to stop barking at the doorbell or when someone's knocking at the door. Dogs bark at the doorbell or at the door knocking for a number of reasons. A lot of times dogs bark at the doorbell and then the door gets open, so they think they're training the person to open the door whenever they bark. Other dogs like to bark at the doorbell or at the door knocking in a way that they're doing watchdog barking, so they're alerting the owner to someone being out there. Other dogs are just incredibly excited that someone's there and they're doing a type of greeting barking behavior. And still other dogs have some anxiety when there's someone at the door. And so for these dogs with the anxiety and fear, it's really important to employ a veterinary behaviorist or certified professional dog trainer to help change that root emotion of fear into a positive emotion when there's somebody at the door. The best thing that you can do to stop your dog from barking at the doorbell or at the door knocking is to train an alternative behavior. One of my favorite alternative behaviors to train is mat training, for your dog to go to their mat whenever they hear the doorbell or the door knock. So Bruce already knows how to go on his mat on the cue, mat. Whenever I say this word, he runs over it and lies down on his mat. So the next step is either teaching the knock on the door or the doorbell being the cue for the dog to run and to lie down on their mat. I'm going to go ahead and use the door knocking to start out with. What I like to do is start with a really quiet knock rather than the full-blown knocking, which is probably going to create a response in him to bark. So I'm going to start with just a really quiet knock. So what I'm going to do is quietly knock on the door, say his word mat, and then click and treat him for going to his mat as he normally would. Brucey. Mat. Good. Go ahead and treat him, and then I'm going to go ahead and reset him again by tossing the treat off the mat. Mat. Good. Next, I'm going to try and withhold the word mat for a little bit longer. If he doesn't do it right away, nothing bad happens. I'll just go ahead and say the word mat in a couple of seconds. But what I'm going to try and get from him is a response to just go ahead and go to his mat just on the knocking at the door. Mat. And I'm going to go ahead and click that because he backed up towards his mat, although he didn't go all the way. The next time, I want to see him go fully to his mat. So it's always important to remember that you may not get the full behavior perfectly the first time, but as long as you're starting to get little steps towards getting the final behavior, that's exactly what you would like. Mat. Mat. Good boy. And it also helps if your dog is trying to stay towards the front of the mat. If you click and then toss your treat towards the back of the mat, the dog's going to be more likely to go towards the back the next time. Good boy. And that time I went ahead and withheld the word mat because I want him to start doing this completely on just the knocking at the door. Good. So did you see that? He was waiting. He was trying to figure out why it wasn't clicking. And finally he backed up enough to where it was a clickable moment. Good. There we go. And any type of barking or anything like that, it was just, I'm not going to do anything bad about it, and just I'm going to wait. There we go. Nice. And I'm going to try and click towards the back of the mat. There we go, and I got all of his feet on the back of the mat, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to start varying my own position as well. So I'm going to start knocking towards the front of the door a little bit more. Good boy, there we go. Perfect. The next behavior that you want to teach is for your dog to wait on their mat, lying down while you start to open the door without anybody yet on the other side. I'm going to show this with Bruce right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do my normal cue. Mat. Wait. Starting to open the door. And since he stayed, he gets a click and then a treat right after. Good boy. I'm going to do the cue to knock on the door, and then I'm going to start to open the door for him. Wait. And this time I'm going to step around. Good job. So we're trying to make this look more and more like the actual situation when a person comes to the door. So the way to bridge this from you knocking on the door yourself to having someone else knock on the door be the cue for your dog to go to the mat is to employ family or friends. Have them start by first being in the house. Your dog has already seen them, isn't too excited about them. Have them walk right outside, knock on the door, have that be the cue for your dog to go to their mat. Just remember to not punish your dog if they start barking, but just go ahead and wait for the behavior to happen. If it doesn't happen right away, it's okay to take a couple steps back, cue them to go to the mat, and then start clicking and treating. Soon you want to be able to graduate to having a stranger come to the door and start knocking and have that be your dog's cue to go to their mat. The way to train the doorbell being the cue for the dog to go to their mat is the same exact way that you train the knocking at the door. What you would do is first ring the doorbell, then do whatever cue it is for your dog to go to their mat right afterwards. So it's the same exact training, you're just doing it with the doorbell this time. If you have a multiple dog household, it's important to try practicing this behavior first with each dog individually and then start bringing them all together to try the training together. Remember, every dog learns at his or her own pace. For more information on how you can train your dog, go to vetstreet.com.